So I'm sure you guys are getting just as tired of wiring videos as I am of doing wiring, but this is such a crucial and important aspect of everything that we're doing. We need to make sure we get it all right. So you guys already know we're doing more wiring today. So what is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So I've been doing a lot of research the past couple of days into wheel speed sensors and speed sensors in general, because that's one of the main things I want to focus on today, as well as knock out the relays for the fans that are going to be in the car. So with the speed sensors in the car, so the stock ECU uses wheel speed sensors, or if you may hear me I might call them VSS. It's just vehicle speed sensor. The VSS sensor, or the VSS, is used for like stability control, ABS, and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't think I'm going to be able to retain ABS with the stock ECU, but I think I might be able to retain it in the Haltech. I'm not entirely sure on that, so I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit more. But like, say for instance, we have traction control built into the Haltech. For traction control, rolling anti-lag, launch control, all the fun features of the Haltech, it needs to be able to have at minimum 2 wheel speed sensors for an all-wheel drive car. Essentially, we don't want the two ECUs fighting with each other. So for the Haltech, we're gonna kidnap 2 of the stock wheel speed sensors on the STI. We're gonna kidnap the one that's in the front left of the engine bay, and we'll kidnap the one that's in the front left of the engine bay, and then the one that is in the back right of the car. So we're gonna have 2 opposing wheel speed sensors talking to each other and talking to the ECU. I also went ahead and I got Haltech's GPS unit just to add in as an additional feature, so that way if like a wheel speed sensor, something goes bad, we at least have a backup of a GPS unit to be able to register speed. So a lot of fun stuff, a lot of wiring stuff, a lot of stuff. And I'm trying not to get like super technical with this kind of stuff and keep it at like an entry-level understanding. So we're going to be using these 4 wires for wheel speed. So we have 2 signal grounds right here, which is going to go 1 to each wheel speed sensor, and then we have these 2 shielded wires. So essentially what a shielded wire is if I pull these all the way out and we look down in there, you're not really going to be able to see it, but when I strip these back, there's another wire inside of these that are about the same size as these signal grounds. Now the whole reason there's a wire inside of a wire, there's like this wire that's smaller covered in another wire, which the whole reason it's covered in another wire, which is why it's called shielded, is because it helps break up interference from other sensors. So any like crucial engine sensitive sensors, like your crank position sensor, your cam position sensor, sometimes knock sensors, and wheel speed sensors are all going to be shielded wires. And that's so if it is picking up interference or electrical magnetic interference, EMI, it's going to go through and it's going to ground itself out in the ECU. You do not want to ground out a shielded wire on both ends. You only want to have it grounded out on one side, and typically it's going to be on the ECU side, and there's always going to be an ECU pin out for like a shielding discharge or shielding ground. So let me hop into the software real quick in the computer. Let me assign both of these wheel speed sensor wires where they're going. We'll get them ran, we'll get them wired in, and then we can start setting up like traction control, rolling anti-lag, all of the fun stuff for our flat 6 here. I have spent so long trying to figure out this wheel speed sensor situation. I'm genuinely frustrated and annoyed because I cannot get it to work. It is dark outside right now. I've been doing this one wheel speed sensor thing for like 4 hours now, trying to get it figured out. I can't figure it out. I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to do this. Like I said, I bought their GPS module, but the GPS module isn't what I want. I want physical sensors on the car to be able to read wheel speed, and I have no idea how to do it. And they, in the little 4-minute video they posted about wheel speed sensors that I've watched probably 100 times now, they're like, it's not as difficult as it seems to fit a wheel speed sensor to the car. It literally, there's nowhere for me to mount them. There's nothing for it to read. On the wheels themselves, even like I can't even drill a hole to be able to fit a sensor in there to be able to read the back of the wheel studs as they're spinning. There's no way. There's no other physical spinning method on the wheel that I can find that can be used as a count method. So I don't know. I genuinely have no idea. So if anybody has any suggestions for anybody out there who's done engine swaps like this, please let me know in the comments. I can't make the stock sensors work. For some reason, every time I'd hook up a stock sensor in any different variation I tried, it would either read straight up 5 volts or it would read negative 0.003 volts. So I genuinely have no idea at this point. Oh, I'm gonna move on to something else. I got the other air intake air temp sensor for the ECU, so I want to get that fitted into the charge pipe real quick, verify that it measures air temp a little more accurately than the other one does, because the other one, the calibration table that I have built inside of the ECU isn't meant for the one that I have in there right now. I just couldn't find that calibration table. So let me swap these sensors real quick. Let's get it plugged in. Let's test air temperature and see what it's reading at. Oh, thank God, dude. It didn't demolish the threads in there, which is good. The old sensor has this white tip on it, not the right one. As you can see, the new sensor actually has like this weird black tip on it, so we'll try that one. With the other sensor in now, it's saying it's about 33, 34 degrees, which I don't necessarily believe. It doesn't feel that cold, so I don't quite know if that's accurate. I'm gonna pull up another lookup table for calibrating and see just what's going on with it. I don't know why it's saying, maybe, I don't know, maybe it is 33 degrees. It doesn't feel like 33 degrees. Are you 33 degrees? I mean, the pipe itself is cold, so I don't know. It should only be reading air temp though. That's gonna be a little more accurate. Pretty sure it's working now. With the heat gun kind of shoved in there, the whole pipe's heating up. I can feel hot air coming out right there. We come back over to our dash, we can see that things are getting nice and toasty. It's good, look at that, 169 it turns red, 170 it turns red. So cool. I'm gonna go ahead and take that off now before it keeps just going red. All right, well, you know what? One thing I did work, so counting that as progress. You cool down right there. So I'm gonna take a quick break from wiring and move to something a little more mechanical. So I found where I'm gonna put the ethanol sensor. I'm gonna go ahead and get that mounted up now, so that way it's just done with, out of the way. We have a home for it at this point. I know where I'm gonna put it. It's taken me way too long to even find a home for this thing. So now that I know where I want it, let's go get this guy installed. So we went ahead, we got our ethanol sensor mounted up right here. We have one line done going from the ethanol sensor down to the fuel pressure regulator. I need to figure out a way to be able to do like a good looking line that's gonna go from right here on the other side of the ethanol sensor back up there to the return. It's just like such a short distance and such a weird angle. I don't know, I might have to do a 90 going down and then have it wrap back up to that. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it quite yet, but since we're on the subject of fuel line right now, I'm gonna go ahead and get the other return line redone for over here off of the passenger side of the fuel rail, going back over to our fuel pressure regulator. I did want to show you guys this because I think it's, you know, you never know. So this line right here is Evil Energy. This one right here is Vibrant. So you guys can see the difference in between the two lines right there. The Evil Energy one is actually not rated for E85, while this Vibrant one is, and they are both AN fuel line. They're just rubber braided line, but this Vibrant one is just rated a little bit higher and a little bit better than this is. This works fantastic for pump gas. I've used this on a ton of cars for pump gas only, so let's get that other return line done, so that way it's just one less thing we got going on. So I just need to remake this line out of this line. All right, so I've got the other return, well, I've got another return line done. So we've got the one coming off of the passenger side fuel rail. It goes underneath of everything, then wraps around, goes back to our fuel pressure regulator back there. So I'm pretty happy with the outcome of how that fuel pressure regulator and the ethanol sensor sit over there. I need to get a couple more fittings to be able to complete the return side of the fuel system, but it's pretty much already done at this point. So all we have left to do is connect this fuel rail to the fuel pressure regulator right there, and then this fitting up to the firewall, and then the return side of the fuel system is all done. As for the feed side, we just need to get that fuel filter. That'll come up, come to about right there, Y off to both of the fuel rails, and then it'll just follow the return system back to the rear of the car. So fuel system pretty much done at this point. So I'm like 20 minutes late to the live stream right now, so I'm gonna go jump on the live stream. I got a little carried away with fuel line, so I'll be right back. I'll be back out in like an hour, 1 hour. So obviously back from the stream, as you guys just saw. So I got the old cam position sensor holder off of the engine, and I had to like get this old sleeve out that was in it, and this was for the old sensor, which is this guy right here. Now I was curious, I didn't want to use this old sensor because A, it's discontinued, and if I needed another one, it'd be a pain to get. So I've managed to make something work. An EJ25 crank position sensor will work as an EG33 cam position sensor. Big brain energy over here. So it honestly fits really well into that holder now that I've gotten that sleeve out. It's a tight fit, it fits beautifully, and just perfect. We can use an EJ25 crank sensor as our cam sensor on this. I also went ahead, I threw the belt on here just so that way the belt can start taking shape. The belt also fits pretty much beautifully on this guy. It'll turn our power steering pump over, it'll turn our alternator over. Right now I've just got a temporary nut and bolt on there, which technically this will work for that. It's not going anywhere. We still need to figure out power steering lines and a reservoir for this. So I think I'm just gonna toss the stock reservoir back up here. Maybe try to run a dash, maybe try to run an AN line on this. I'm kind of curious if the stock line would fit here. Well, actually, I think I can get the IAG high pressure line and then just run it like straight back behind everything down to our lines right there. I don't know. That's a story for a different day right there. So just mocked that up to get that belt on there. We've got our cam position sensor figured out, and I'm pretty happy with the location right there. One thing that does confuse me though is for cam position, it's a shielded wire. There's 4 wires inside of that shielded wire right there. What about on the crank position? Same with crank position. There's 4 wires in there, and there's only, it's a 2-wire connector, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out quite yet, so we will figure that out later. I don't quite know where I'm going tonight. I'm just doing stuff. I'm just doing the stuff. So I just went through the Haltech to see what all we have left to run wires for, and it looks like we're actually done running wires for everything. So the rest of the wires that I have up here in this bundle are all extra. It's extra like 5 volt, 12 volt sources. There's a couple extra DPOs on there. I wish I could use DPOs as AVIs, but not same. So I'm gonna tuck all of these up under the dash tomorrow. This is where I'm stopping tonight. I'm gonna come back out in the morning and keep going on things. So this video may come out Sunday, just because there's a lot more that I wanna get done. It's just, those wheel speed sensors ate up so much of my day today. It's ridiculous. So I'll catch you guys in like 2 seconds of your time, like 10 hours my time. So it's the next morning, and I have good news. So I finally figured out how I'm gonna do the coil packs on the EG33. There is literally one company I found based out of the United Kingdom that sells an EG33 adapter plate for a coil on plug setup using a set of Bosch coil packs. So I went ahead, I got an RMA set up for the Haltech coil packs that I have to get those returned so I can get my money back so I can order these plates and these other coil packs. I'm gonna try to use the R35 coil packs with these plates because I already have them and I think that I can make them work. So we're gonna try going that route. It's an easy bolt-on solution that looks clean. It keeps the coil pack in the actual engine, so that way we don't have to have externally mounted packs, run leads, or anything like that. So because we now know what we're doing with the coil packs 100%, I'm gonna go ahead and get all of the ignition wires right here set up and ran to where they're going. So that way in the next video we can just come out, start looming our harness, and pretty much be done with electrical. So we're on like the final stretch of electrical stuff. So with that, let's jump into it and start cutting some wires and getting them ran to length. So I'm gonna pick back up on this here in a little bit. I have some errands I need to go run today before like UPS, USPS, and FedEx all close. I got some orders to ship out, the return on those coil packs, and then some other stuff I need to go send out. But let me show you guys the general concept here of what we're doing, and we'll finish this in the next video. So with traditional coil unplug setups, you only need 3 wires for them. You need a signal ground, the actual signal, and then a power supply for them. So right here, you guys can see I've kind of got it like looping out. So this is like one of the crimps. I'm changing it. That's why I cut it off. So you guys can, if it'll focus, come on, focus, there we go. So you guys can see I'm pushing back some of the sheathing around the wire, putting a crimp on there, and then adding another wire to it. And that essentially is just going to hold these together. You put a piece of heat shrink over it like this, and then it just creates this octopus of things. So if you look on it right here, the 2 longest wires, we already have the signal and the ground done for them. On cylinder 1, 2, 3, we have that one done, and then same with cylinder 1. So cylinder 1 has power, ground, and signal. We just need to finish the power for cylinders 3, 5, 2, 4, and 6 at this point. So general concept, that's kind of how it works. But like I said, I got to go ship some stuff out, so we got to pick this up in the next video. So that's where I'm ending it on this one, you guys. Like I said, if anybody has any suggestions on speed sensor ideas, please by all means let me know. If I can retain the factory ABS, retain all the stock speed sensors and do it that way, that would be ideal. But I'm not impartial to giving up ABS if I absolutely have to make all of this work. So drop your comments, drop your suggestions, let me know what you think. But we're almost done with wire mapping and wire setup at this point. So here in the next 2 or 3 videos, I'm guessing we're going to start looming that harness to get all those wires sheathed up, done, get the electrical connectors pinned onto the ends of them. We can start getting everything plugged in, start recalibrating the rest of the stuff in the ECU. Those coil on plug adapters, I'm talking to the gentleman right now in the UK, told me about 4 weeks on those, so it'll be a little while till we get those, but whatever. It's the cleanest looking setup I have seen for this with the most reliability out of it. You don't want coil packs that are kind of cobbled together, not 100% tight. They don't seal like absolutely perfectly because we don't want dust, debris, any like schmoo getting down into like the spark plug area. That's the last thing we want. So those R35 coil packs I have, I'm going to try to make those work with that mounting plate. It's just getting a good mounting plate to be able to mount all those up. Like, yeah, I could do a small bracket on there, but they're not going to sit the tightest. They're not going to look good. And the overall reliability of them long term just may not be there. So this is the smartest move to do for it. But that's all I got for you guys on this one. So if you like the video, you know what to do. Go hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be one of these corners, no idea which one I'll put it in quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies.